Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope y'all doing well. Super side note, when I was growing up, my mom used to make what's called 7-layer salad. And I have not had a 7-layer salad in years. And so I texted her. I was like, what is the name of that salad that you used to make that used to have peas in it? Because I couldn't remember what it was. She was like, 7-layer? I was like, thank you. So I decided, I think I'm going to give that a little whip up today. Wanted to chat really quickly. I just anytime I do a video, I'm not doing it to try to tell people what to do, or saying if you don't take what I say to the grave, then you going to the grave. No, you don't. You get what you can from my particular videos and anything that you watch. I hope you guys are watching things for true accountability, for true change, whatever the case may be. But anyways, just wanted to talk to y'all about something. I was thinking about, well, I'm from Wisconsin. So in Wisconsin, and y'all bear with me because I'm driving, so I'm looking over here. And if you don't know, if you didn't see the last video, the camera used to be over here, but my son took it off because he don't like it right there. So I put the phone over here. So sometimes I have to forget that I can't look there. I have to look here. But I'm from Wisconsin, and so in Wisconsin, we obviously have 4 seasons, and there's a season to where we deem it as hunting season, to where right, we can go hunting. It's when the state recognizes, okay, you can go hunting from this period to this period. They do that obviously for many different reasons, safety reasons, to help control the population of the animals, etc., etc. But I was thinking about just a few different things, and I started kind of thinking about traps. I remember I went hunting with my stepdad, which I don't like to call him my stepdad, but he was my dad. He's now passed away. But anyways, there's things that you can set traps. And is it still recording? Because these notifications keep coming up, and I don't even know if this is even recording. Let me see. Okay, it's recording. And you can set traps for different animals, right? For rabbits, even in fishing, you can use bait. That's a form of a trap. So when I was kind of thinking about that, I was thinking like, man, we used to be pretty strategic when we would set a trap. Even when he would talk to me about when he would go hunting, the different things that he would do to try to make sure he could catch the prey, whatever it is he was hunting. And so I was kind of thinking about that, and it made me kind of have a thought process of like, we have to be very careful of the traps that are set for us by the enemy. And we all know that the enemy uses things, people, situations, circumstances, right? He will use anything that he can. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? The enemy is so intentional about the traps that he sets. And so what do I mean by that? When my stepdad would talk to me about the different traps he would want to set and the plan that he had to go hunting and or fishing, he was very strategic. He didn't just go on a whim. He didn't just go to the area on a whim. He didn't know, oh, if I go to this area, are deer going to be here, or are squirrels going to be here? Or he scouted it out. He studied it. He understood it. And then, of course, because he's been to these places several times, every time he went, he became more and more familiar. But just because he became more and more familiar, it never stopped him from having a game plan, understanding the area. Because, right, it could be, okay, well, last season, maybe not as much grass grew, or maybe, the state can say there's a low count of XYZ. He still made sure to do his research. And so when I begin to think about that in terms of how the enemy works, and if you're not spiritual, it's okay, but I just want you to think about this in terms of your own life. When the enemy comes after us, he's not coming after you because he doesn't know you. He's not coming after you because he's just on a hope, wish, and a prayer, because he don't even believe. He's coming after you for two main reasons. He's coming after you because he's aware that you have a relationship with God, whether you're starting it, whether you're working on it, whether you're curious about it. He's aware of that. He is trying to keep you from all things that are good, all things that are profitable. He's trying to keep you from anything that is going to be healthy and positive. Again, whether you know Christ or not, he's trying to keep you from all things good and pure. And so, therefore, even when you don't know God and even when you don't have a relationship, it doesn't mean that the enemy or the good versus evil, it doesn't mean that evil doesn't recognize you. It doesn't mean that evil doesn't understand what your issues are, what your tendencies are, what your shortcomings are, what your addictions are, what your private thoughts are. It doesn't mean that. And what I begin to really think about is we don't realize the intentionality that the enemy has to keep you from what is pure and what is good. So therefore, he sets traps. What do I mean? The enemy is not going to set a trap for me to overeat because he knows that I don't struggle with gluttony. But the enemy can set a trap when it comes to spending money because he knows, well, spending money specifically when it comes to shopping, because he knows that's what I love to do. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with shopping, but I'm telling you what I know has been an issue for me. One thing about it, I love to shop. I just love to buy stuff. It's just something about buying stuff. It's something about stacking up my cart and making that and tapping that button to hit a purchase. It's something about going into a store and I know the stores that I want to go to. I know how I want to shop. I know what I'm looking for. And when that swipe goes through, I know my struggle. And when I say struggle, I'm not saying that it's out of control or anything like that, but I'm just being transparent with you guys. So if you think about your life, I want you to think about areas in your life where you kind of realize this is always circling back around, or I always seem to kind of struggle right here, or it seems like every person that I meet, it seems like they have this same, I don't want to say character, but it seems like I kind of keep going through the same motions with every individual that I meet. It seems like I never can escape these internal thoughts. I never can escape these same scenarios, right? I just want you to think about your own life. And I want you to begin to recognize those are traps. It seems like I can never get rid of my family trauma. I cannot seem to forgive. I feel like I forgive and I feel like I move forward and I feel like I've let it go, but it just seems like this thing is an ongoing rehearsal. Dress rehearsal, here we go, trauma. Dress rehearsal, here we go, triggers. Dress rehearsal, here we go, broken relationships. Dress rehearsal, here comes cheating. Dress rehearsal, here comes being broke. Here comes poverty. It's like, why do I keep having this same dress rehearsal for this same scene, this same movie, this same situation? It's because the enemy's setting a trap. He's not gonna the enemy's not gonna trap me with pornography because I don't watch it. I'm not into that. I'm not here to tell you one way or the other, to each his own, but you need to do the research behind that. The enemy's not going to tempt me with sleeping around. It's not my forte. I don't care how good a man look, how much he got in his pants, how much money he got. Those things don't impress me. He's not going to tempt me with those things. So I want you to just look at your life and I want you to ask yourself, and you have to be honest, what area do I keep getting trapped and keep getting snared? It could be your anger, it could be pornography, it could be lying, it could be cheating, it could be manipulation, it could be depression, it could be addiction. Only you really know. But the only way you really know is because you have to learn to start being honest with yourself. You don't have to get on the live like I'm doing and I'm telling y'all, oh, here's my issues, here's the things I'm struggling with, etc., etc., etc. You could do it privately. Because I don't know what it is. People just have such a hard time being honest about their brokenness and about their issues. But you know what that is? That is a trap. Because if the devil can keep you muzzled, if the enemy can keep you turned over to a reprobate mind, which means you now are so far gone, you begin to believe yourself. You begin to believe that bad is good and good is bad. You begin to believe your own lies, your own thought process. You start to rationalize it. It becomes so convincing that when you hear the truth, your ears is so blocked. Your mind is so cloudy, right? Your actions is so bound that you don't even believe that the truth is the truth. That the truth actually sounds like a lie to you. The truth actually sounds like, wait a minute, you sound like you broken. You sound like you ain't changed. A reprobate mind will do that to you. But I want you to just be honest with yourself in your own private time. And I want you to say to yourself, what do I continue to keep falling subject to? This is the same trap. At one point, I thought it was a little bit different, but I'm right back where I was. It's the same trap. And don't not be accountable. Don't be like, well, yeah, I kind of got trapped, but I kept walking. You still trapped. You still bound. You still broken. Don't say stuff like, well, you know, I'm not where I used to be. This is not the video for that. We're not talking about the progress you've made. Let's talk about some strong accountability. Well, you know what? The old me would have right. Congratulations, you're not the old you anymore, but let's keep growing. Don't just stop at, well, because I didn't used to do it, that means I've arrived. No, because we're all constantly working on who we are. Working on who we are, learning who we are, and putting those things in motion is an ongoing process until you take your last breath. You could be on your deathbed and still have to figure out, how can I keep my mind in a good place? How can I contain my emotions to where I don't just give up and start having suicidal thoughts? This thing is constant. And so I want you to not look at yourself for this particular video as you're the problem, but I want you to take a moment to say, what keeps causing me to get snared? Why do I keep having to revisit this with people, with situations, with things, with circumstances, with my mindset, with my words, with my actions? Watch this, in the things that people don't know, my private thoughts. What is that? And I want you to begin to dissect that. And that's the thing that you take to God. God, free me from this snare. God, stop letting me keep walking the same exact direction that I got caught up in last time. There is places in Wisconsin that is literally outlined specifically for hunting season. And the animals, their offspring, the ones that almost got hit but got away, they keep going to the same area. That's exactly why the state can outline where you can go hunting. Here is where they breed. Here is where they travel through. They keep going through the same area, which is why it's safe to hunt there. They can guarantee you that you're just about going to catch something because they studied the animal so much. And instead of the animal, because the animal's not designed to realize, wait a minute, I should walk through this area. No, their food supply is there. Water, trees, other animals, the circle of life, that's where they go. So which is why obviously you can't go into a residential neighborhood and go hunting. That wildlife isn't there. And so ask yourself, why do I keep going to this same area? What about this situation keeps drawing me back? What about these circumstances keeps drawing me back? Keeps making me take 2 steps forward but 7 steps back? What keeps pulling this out of me? What keeps causing my character to go awry? What keeps making me feel like I have to go back to my old ways, and now I'm so set back, it's almost too challenging to even move forward? So now I start masking like I'm better, but I'm not. Why do you keep going back to those same hunting grounds knowing that the trap is set for you? You keep going back to that same relationship. I'm sorry, y'all had my air on, so I don't know if it was loud in the phone. If it was, I apologize, and hopefully y'all can hear me. Why do you keep going back to that same relationship, that same job, that same dynamic? And hear me, I'm not saying that you shouldn't put something in place to try to get away from that. I'm talking about you knowing you keep going back to that. You knowing you keep going back to those old thoughts. You know you keep going back to that old behavior. Why? Why do you keep falling for the trap? It's the same trap. It's so crazy that when I was beginning to look at different traps, the concept of traps, they're all pretty much the same. They have not invented this, like, you know how sometimes we come out with stuff, like the government to come out with stuff years later, we're like, oh my goodness, self-driving cars, we ain't never seen that. When I begin to look at different traps, pretty much they're all the same. There's not a trap to where it's like, oh, the animal can walk into the trap and actually not get caught, or there's this invisible trap and now the animal doesn't know. No, the mechanism is pretty much all the same. When you go fishing, the bait is pretty much all the same. What do I mean? You can see the same characteristics. You can see the dynamics. You can see the red flags. You can see the light pink flags that then will lead to red flags. You can see it. You can sense it. Your body releases chemicals to alert you. You know how I know? Because the same way the body can alert you to be happy, the body will alert you that something is coming, something is not right. Now, whether you listen to it or not is up to you and your brain and your mindset. But you know pretty much how this is going to go. And even how the animals, once the animals kind of start walking to the area, they may not realize the trap is maybe 50 feet ahead. But there's indicators. So you may get back into the situation, the circumstance, or whatever the case may be, and you will start to see those indicators, and you will keep going into a full blown. Then when you get caught, when you get snared, when everything is thrown off, now you back in the same pattern. You angry, you emotional, you crying, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you don't want to talk to nobody, you don't want to go get you no help, you want to keep blaming everything and everybody. But now I want you to do something twofold. I want you to recognize the traps that you keep going into, and then I want you to recognize the traps that the people keep setting for you to get caught by. Because it's one thing for us to say, oh, it's the enemy. But now I want you to, in a healthy way, put a face or a name or a circumstance to the enemy. Like I said, mine could be shopping. Yours could be something else. So yes, it's the enemy. But now I want you to say, no, this is John. No, this is Samantha. No, this is so-and-so company. No, this is the spirit of anger. No, this is unforgiveness. And then I want you to name who's that attached to. This is because I was violated. This was because nobody validated me. Who didn't validate you? This is because I felt robbed of life. Why? Why did you feel robbed? Because sometimes we say so many things and we don't even realize it. We don't even really know if that's the root. I was reading this book. It gave such an amazing viewpoint. It said, pardon me, you can say that you're angry, but are you really angry or are you really just afraid? And you calling it anger. Because you really don't want to tell nobody you actually have fear. You could say you just so cocky and I don't need nobody and I'm just so independent. Is that really the truth? Or is it that you just have been so scorned because you don't really know what it's like for somebody to be there for you unconditionally? Because you don't know what it's like for that mother or that father or the person who you looked up to be there for you. So now you just scream, you just so independent. Are you? So I want you to be able to recognize, what is it that you're saying? And is it actually the real root of it? That's why they say, get to the root of it. Because if you're only getting to the surface, the root is still there. That means it's going to keep growing, which means it's going to continue to resurface, which means the trap is going to continue to be set, versus now you going and you like, wait a minute. I've seen this before. And I'm not talking about you premeditated. I'm talking about truly be able to ask God to allow you to discern the traps that you keep falling into. And then asking him, God, give me the wisdom to be able to see this. And if I start to get into it, God, give me a warning, because your word says that you will create a way of escape, which is suggestive you don't have to get into it, which is suggestive that if you get into it, he still will create a way of escape. You're not stuck there. You don't have to remain there. Stop falling for the trap, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical, or spiritual. Stop falling for the trap. And when I say spiritual, I'm not talking about good things spiritual. I'm talking about spiritual warfare. Stop falling for the trap. Stop allowing the enemy to come after your beliefs. Now you in spiritual warfare with your belief system. Stop falling for the trap. I love y'all. We'll talk soon.